Hello everyone, this is Tammy Wilgenbush, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Today I'm going to do a tutorial on doing a one-sheet wonder using the Delicate Dahlias set. This is from the Sale-a-bration for this fall, which ends the end of this month. So if you want to get in on it, now is the time to get in on it. But what Sale-a-bration is from Stampin' Up! Is for every $50 you spend, you get to choose an item from their catalog. And the Delicate Dahlias is actually a $100 gift. So they have several that if you spend $50, like the paper, you can get one thing, but they have some larger ones that are free with a $100 purchase. So that is what this Delicate Dahlias is. And I fell in love with it just because it is the double stamp, and the solids are I think they call them distinctive, and they basically have lots of different depth to them with the way that they stamp. So they're just absolutely gorgeous. So this is the stamp set that I'm going to be using. And these are 3 examples of the cards. 2 of them were made with the one sheet wonder. I had made some other ones using soft succulent, which you will see that I'm making, but I have already given those cards away. So this is the cards that we're making, and this will make 4 cards. I am using the new in colors from 2021-2023, and I'm using polished pink and the soft succulent here, which are the green. And these are just basic card bases. So you can see one sheet, or if it's just one sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper. This is cut in half at 5.5 inches and scored at 4.25 inches. And so, 4.25 inches. And basically I fold them and they make a 4.25 by 5.5 card base. And like I said, this makes 4 cards. So I have the bases here. Now, this one sheet wonder, we're not using designer series paper. What we're actually going to do is kind of make our own designer series paper with this stamp set. And so what I did is basically just took an 8.5 by 11 piece of basic white cardstock, and we're going to stamp on this, and then we're going to cut this up into 4 pieces, and then we're going to use each piece for the front of a card base. So these are actually very easy cards to make. And, you know, I think any sort of a really nice flower or larger stamps would work for this type of a project. There was Circle Celebration was one that I've used in the past as well. So basically, first of all, I'm just going to take the outline of the large flower, and I'm going to stamp it in the polished pink. So basically, I just take it, we're going to ink it up, and I just have a basic card on the bottom because some of them will kind of go off to the side. So we will just stamp at various places on there, and this is just the polished pink full force here. And you can kind of see I'm kind of going off the page on some. Basically, you just stamp really randomly. And you want to be sure to push all over, because you can see that want to make sure we get all of it inked up there and all of it transferred to the paper. We're just going to do that one right in the middle. Now you might see that I have this little arrow there. And somebody, I saw this with a different stamp set where you have a outline and then you have the inner stamp. And especially with like this, you can see that it would be kind of hard to line them up. So, oh no, I just realized I got some, must have got some ink on my hand. Anyway, so on each of them, I put an arrow at kind of the same point on each of them where they would overlap. And so you may notice that as I'm stamping this, I'm kind of trying to make sure that I stamp it upright. Now, again, you could alter this and kind of change the direction of how you're stamping it. Luckily, with this type of a flower, I don't think it really matters which direction you go in. I think it's I think it looks fine without altering it. So I'm just kind of always aligning it so that the arrow is up towards the top. So when I go to do the inner flower, it will line up a little bit easier. And I am using a low block for this one, so that I didn't have to like transfer. And so I keep on getting ink on my fingers, which is what I did right there. Okay. And again, there's no real rhyme or reason. We are just taking this to where it kind of looks good. All right, I think I'll be able to fit one more over here in this corner. Very cool. All right, perfect. So that's that one. Now, before I clean this stamp, one thing that I always do with my cards is stamp the inside of the card. And I've done that on 3 of the cards already. I kind of pre-stamped some of the cards and the envelopes. But I wanted to kind of show you how for this particular one I stamped the envelope and the card. And so I'm going to kind of do it in groups instead of doing all of the sheet and then going back to this, since I already have this stamp inked up. I'm just gonna ink it up again, and because this is an awful big flower, you know, I didn't want the whole thing. That would kind of take up the whole inside of the card, so I just kind of lined it up. There's a little bit nice area right in the middle, and so I just kind of put about 1/4 of it on there, just to give it a little bit of color. You know, again, I don't have to take up too much of the room. The same on the envelope, except for this time I'm doing the opposite. And again, you can see that I always keep on trying to line up that upper arrow so that it will help when I go to do the inside. So those are the outside. So the outline was just in Full Force Polish Pink. So now we're going to do the inside of the flower. Now for this, I couldn't find a lighter pink that I thought went really nice with this. So I am going to do a stamp off technique where essentially we're going to ink up the flower, and then we're going to stamp off once, and then, and my head might be in the way here, sorry. I'm going to want to try to line this up. And then we're going to do that. So it gives it just a nice color. Now this, again, some of it, you know, it doesn't come off as dark, but that's okay. And you can actually see this, like I said, this is a distinctive ink. So you can see even with just this, look at that variation that you can get. So I probably could do it almost full force, but I really wanted it to to have where you could see the outline. All right, and I want to get this stamped really good. So admittedly, this is not my best work today, but you know what? That's what you get when you stamp. Right? Stamping is real. It's never 100% perfect, and that's kind of what makes it fun and unique and so personal. So there's that. Very pretty. Okay. Oops. Look at that. I almost forgot to stamp off on that one. All right, and I want to really make sure to get it in the middle. Sometimes this one doesn't always transfer the best, but that's okay. Honestly, I think that's what makes it so pretty, is because you just get the variety, and you never get two flowers that are exactly the same. And I think that's what makes it just so unique and special, because even though this is using a very similar format to the other cards, these cards are still going to all be unique because of the way that I stamped this. Of course, didn't stamp this the exact same way that I stamped for the other cards that I made that were like this. So there we go. Here we go. And I just have to admit, I just adore this stamp set. And you know, there are some example cards where people will actually cut these out, so you wouldn't necessarily have to do this as a one-sheet wonder. You could cut out some of these flowers and pop them up with dimensionals. I'm just not great at fussy cutting. I just don't like to cut that much, and I honestly just think this just makes such a pretty background that this is how I wanted to do it, and probably how I will use this set. Oops. Now that didn't come off in the middle, so I am going to, and the nice thing about the clear stamps is that you can get it pretty close to lined up exactly the same. Maybe not perfect. Well, I guess that's come off. Okay, let me see if I can get this inked up again. There we go. Okay, and let's try this again. There we go. Okay. Why is that center not going all of a sudden? I'm gonna see. Nope. Well, I wonder what's going on with the center of that. Oh, now it came off on there. I'm gonna clean this stamp real quick. Maybe that will help. All right, let's see how we do on here. So now I'm doing the inside of the card. Oh, that one worked a little bit better. Must just not have had it very clean. Oh well, that's okay. Okay. So let's get this here. Okay, there we go. Okay, and I am actually going to try to fix I could regret this, but I'm going to try to fix this one here. See if I can't get some of that in the middle there to transfer. That's much better. Okay, so there is those flowers. Let me get my stamps all cleaned off here. All right, so that is the polished pink with the large flowers. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in some of this other area with these small little flowers. And so these, I'm using the soft succulent, also one of the 2021-2023 in colors. And I'm gonna, for the inside, and the evening evergreen for the outside. And I just thought that these went really well together. I tried to find, again, a different pink that went with the polished pink and didn't see one. So that's why I ended up doing the Stampin' Off. And I could have done a Stampin' Off technique with this, with the soft succulent, but this worked really, really well. Let me figure out which one's which. Okay, so we're gonna do the outlines. And again, here I'm just gonna kind of fill in just wherever looks good. Definitely gonna do over that pink spot there. All right, that looks pretty good. And I don't know, I may cut off this end, but I'm gonna do another one up there just in case I don't cut off that end, because when we trim this, we will trim about 1/4 of an inch off of it to get the 4 pieces of the size that we want. So now we're going to use the soft succulent for the inside. And again, for this flower, similar to the other, I did also put an arrow towards the top. This one I think is a little bit easier to line up. So that is, I think, actually all of the stamping. So I'm going to put away my ink pads. So now what we're going to do is basically, here is our one sheet. So instead of designer series paper, I basically just stamped this. And this stamp set also has different leaves that you could use. Honestly, I felt the leaves with the stem, I don't know, I just never could find a nice place for them to go that looked good with the stem. So I didn't use those. So now what we're going to do with this paper is we want to cut it so that it goes on, basically fits just the front of the card base. And so when we're cutting cards, like I said, this is a 4.5 or 4 1/4 by 5.5. And so I usually cut it so that you have just a little bit of an area around it. So when I'm matting a full card front or inside of the card, I cut it at 4 by 5 1/4. So that's what I'm going to do with this one. And I think I'm going to try to cut this end off. So I'm going to cut the paper at 5 1/4. Okay. And then I'm going to cut it again at 5 1/4. Okay, which will leave a 1/4 of an inch strip. That's basically waste. Now I'm going to put these two, I'm just going to put them on top of each other. And again, now I'm going to cut this at 4 inches. And then I'm going to cut this again at 4 inches. And again, we're left with a 1/4 inch strip. And so that's basically the cutting. So now you can see here that we have 4 pieces of cardstock that are stamped. So now we can just kind of assemble the cards. And basically, like I said, we have 2 of each color. And so I take this and I use the polished pink and the soft succulent ribbons from the annual catalog. And so I'm just basically going to take 2 in the polished pink that will go on the polished pink. And I mean, you could tie these really any which way. I'm just going to tie 1 horizontally and 1 vertically. And you could actually do a bow if you wanted. I'm just going to do a knot. Doesn't use as much ribbon, so and I'm not necessarily the best at bows. So we're going to do this. And I always tie it when it's on the spool because then there's less waste. Let me tie this. And there we go. Because now when I'm cutting it, I can just cut this one where I actually want it. Okay, and then I cut this. And this is really then all of the waste that we have. So here's this one, and I will probably put this off to the side. What I'm going to do, or actually this one I'm going to put in the middle, because what sentiment I'm going to use for this one, and I've already stamped the sentiments, so this one I'm going to use the circle, and I used the Oh So Happy from the Delicate Dahlias, and I just stamped it and punched it out in a circle. And then this scallop is not from Stampin' Up. I think I just bought it on Amazon, but just put it there for kind of a cute little backing. And I'm gonna put this ribbon kind of up towards the top, and I'm gonna kind of pop that kind of like this one, so that it almost looks like that little tag is held up by that. And so I'm just going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals to pop this up. There we go. And I'm going to kind of put it off to the side there. Okay, so that's one. I will attach those later. Now for this second one, yeah, let's use this one. I am going to, this is a good one to do vertically because we have actually kind of a little bit of white spot there. I probably should have put that over a little bit, but that's okay. By the time you put the ribbon on it, I think that no one will really notice too much. Okay, here we go. Oops, and got that a little bit too much there. Okay, there we go. Okay, so cut that off. I'm done with the polished pink ribbon, and we're gonna cut that. Okay, now for this sentiment, I'm going to use Happy Birthday, and this Happy Birthday is actually from the In Your Words, and this is also a special stamp set. It is from the Sale-a-bration, and it's only available to people who host parties during Sale-a-bration. But you could use any Happy Birthday, but that's the Happy Birthday I used. And I cut it out with the tailored tag, and I did that already just so it didn't have to take time. Now, I wanted to mat these just because it's white on white, and I'd seen this once, and it's such a cool idea for the tailored tag. So to mat with the tailored tag, it actually works out nice. Now, obviously, you know, if you cut them both, they're the same size. But what somebody showed me is that if you take the tag and cut it in half, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just kind of lining it up in my cutter, and I'm gonna cut it in half so that I get 2 pieces. And then what you can do is you take some glue and just put some glue on the ends here. And then you can take the tag, and it won't go off the side, but you can see that, well, you still get that mat. And you can't see that it's gonna be split. So that was a very cool trick. And I'd seen people been using mats with this tag, and I'm like, gosh, how do they do that? That is so cool. I want to, you know, I like mats sometimes for my sentiment. So I saw somebody do that, and I was like, oh, that is just brilliant. So there we go. So yeah, and so see, when it's on, it'll give it just that nice little pop of color, and you can't even really tell that it's split in the back. So I'm going to pop this up with, sorry, I hope that didn't go into the microphone too much. All right, there we go. All right. So you can see these cards are actually pretty simple. There's not a whole bunch to them. And you could put it up here, you could put it down there. I'm not sure exactly where I want to put it. I think I'm going to put it right in the, actually I'm going to put it off to the side right that. I got this area down here, but I just don't like it down. Well, maybe I can just do that. We'll just do that. All right. So now I'm just going to take these and mount them onto the cardstock. And again, I'm using the Tombow glue. That's what I tend to use for my cards. I like that it gives some wiggle room. And if you don't use too much of it, it actually is really nice. I mean, I haven't had a problem with it like curling or bowing or, you know, getting wavy or anything, but it really doesn't take that much. So you can see that I'm really not putting that much on. So now I'm going to put this on the inside. There you go. And again, you see it gives just a little bit of wiggle room there, which is so nice. Okay, so that is card number 1. Now let's do this one, and then we will do the soft succulent ones. And again, the soft succulent ones really are pretty much the same layout as these are. Just, you know, it makes it a little bit varied with the different colored ribbons, the different colored background cardstock, which, I don't know, just when you're making groups of cards, sometimes I don't like to make them all look exactly the same. You like them just a little bit different. So that's what this kind of allowed me to do. But again, it's a real quick and simple way to make kind of a group of cards that are honestly really pretty. I love these colors together, and I just love this stamp set. I don't know if this is something they would ever bring as a regular stamp set, but oh my gosh, I really hope they would, because this is just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so let's again. And again, I suppose there's, you know, you could tie, like I said, a bow, if you wanted. Oops, where'd it go? Come on. Okay. And I'm just going to do this one real quick too while I have it out. So again, sometimes it's just kind of nice to, when you're doing several cards of the similar format, it's just kind of nice to be able to do them kind of in bulk like this. It makes it a lot faster. So it's like while I have the supplies out, I just kind of do all of them that are similar, kind of like what I did with the inside in envelopes when I, instead of cleaning off the stamp and doing it later, you just kind of do it all at once. Makes it very nice and easy. There we go. And let's cut that. And now I've already done the soft succulent tags to kind of save time. And I did another happy birthday and a thank you kindly. So I'm just gonna add, and you can probably see, sometimes I feel like I'm a hot mess when I'm making cards. I get things all over, but that's okay. Okay, let's do this one too. Again, just trying to get it all done. At once. All right, so is this, yep, this is my thank you kindly. So again, the thank you kindly is also from the Delicate Dahlias set. And I'm going to put it, seems to be a little bit of a white up here, so I'm going to kind of put that up there off to the side because, and then I'm going to adjust the ribbon just a little bit over to the side. That looks good. Okay. Oops, am I running out? Oops. Now I'm just getting ink all, or glue all over. I'm trying to go too fast. That's what I get. Okay. That's what jeans are for, right? I can wipe it off on my jeans. Okay, let's see here. Get this on there. I'm trying to make sure, last video I did, things got down a little bit so you couldn't see them all in the, sometimes you couldn't see what I was doing. So I'm trying to make sure that I am up where you can see me. So this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this up, and actually you can still kind of see the little pink there. So I'm actually going to move the ribbon up so here it actually covers that section. And actually, oh, that works out kind of nice because I'm going to move the bow all the way over because I'm actually going to put this right over the bow. Card making is never perfect, and that's okay. It still works most of the time. Okay, there we go. That works out perfect. Okay, let's do this. Now hopefully I have actually been checking to try to make sure that the mic is still working, and it looks like it does. My last video, the volume went out on me, so I had to do a voiceover, which I don't know, was a little bit difficult. Hopefully the voice works so I don't have to do that. I've been checking and it looks like it's still connected, so looks like everything's recorded. Hopefully it is. All right, so that's almost it. I just need to do the insides here, and then we're going to be done. So see, those were pretty quick and easy. You got 4 cards, which I think is always nice. So, you know, sometimes it's like you get all the supplies out and all the stamps out. It's just nice sometimes to make multiple cards at once. So, and I will have a tutorial for these. So that will be below. It'll link to my blog post, which will have the tutorial for how to make these as well. So that will have, again, all of the dimensions and supplies and everything else that you need for these cute 4 cards. And on the picture, I will say there's 5 cards because I made an example before I did the one sheet wonder, and they were all together, so, but that's okay. It'll make, you get an 8.5 by 11 piece of white paper, you stamp it, and then you can get 4 very cute cards. And then I have all of the envelopes here as well. Again, always got to stamp the inside and the envelopes, just adds that little special touch. So there you go. These are the 4 cards that you can make, stamping 1 sheet of white paper with the Delicate Dahlias Sale-a-bration. And again, this stamp set is only available through September. You can get it free with a $100 purchase. So please feel free to reach out to me. My Stampin' Up! Website is on my my blog, so if you need any help with anything Stampin' Up!, don't have a demonstrator, please feel free to reach out to me. And another something special I'm doing is for people who subscribed and are interested, I will be giving away one or two of these cards to people when they subscribe. And so if you like what you see, subscribe, enter your email in the comments, or message me directly, and I can put one of these cards in the mail for you. So I hope you enjoyed it, and be looking for other videos in the future. Thanks. Bye.